Hello, Miss Julia. Welcome back to Tranquility du Jour. I'm so happy to have you here today.
Oh my gosh, this is gonna be so much fun. I'm so excited. Like I'm usually it is so funny because I'm always like, oh, I've done another podcast. And when I saw that email, I'm like, yes. It was like it was a hard yes. Like, yes, yes, yes. Anything with Kimberly.
It's so fun. And listeners, I'll have links to my previous
Mhm.
episodes with Julia because I have known Julia. Do we go back? Would it be
Six.
six?
Oh, 2006.
It's like five or
Yeah.
six. Wow.
Yeah, 19
Yep.
years. Because I've been in it's hard to believe because I've been in DC 20 years and I'm like, how did this happen?
Oh
Like,
my
how did this happen?
gosh. Wow. And I remember, and you did my makeup for the Hip Trinkle Chick book
Book launch.
launch.
Yeah. At one of the hotels. Like I'm yeah, it
Yes.
was just
Yeah. Kempton.
Oh yeah.
Of
Oh my
course.
gosh.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, on Peachtree. Yes.
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 Yes. Oh my gosh. Okay, let's dive in. We have so
Yes.
much to talk about
Yes,
midlife,
we do.
and I just have to acknowledge your beautiful pink lipstick, which is the
Thank you.
first thing I said to you when you hopped on
Yes.
camera.
I literally have been wearing a lot of bold reds. And I was like,
Yes.
I know I have a hot pink lipstick for Kimberly. It was
Yeah.
purposely somewhere. And I'm
Oh my
digging in my
gosh.
lipstick and I open up this Fenty that I probably have forever. And that is it. And I don't know the color. It's just like hot pink. That's all I know.
It's so fabulous. You may need to tell me so I can put it in the show notes.
Yeah, I'll
Just
try to
saying.
find it. It's an
Okay.
old, like it's old. This thing like only like when it first launched, I was like, oh, bright pink. Yes, I'm gonna
Yeah.
do that. So yeah, I'll
It's
definitely.
so fabulous.
Thank you.
So let's talk midlife, right? So
Yes.
we've known each other since we were little babies,
Yes.
obviously.
Yes.
And now we're
30s.
yes, yes.
30s.
And now we're not little babies, but we're
Nope.
still
Mm-hmm.
spry.
Yes.
So tell me a little bit. My first question, I always like to start with this, is how has your perspective on life changed as you've entered midlife? And again, my notes are over here, so I'll take a
Okay,
peek.
yeah.
For you, I'm very curious because you've had such a trajectory.
Yes.
So do tell, do tell.
That thing, I feel like I haven't done enough. And when I say that, like I feel like, and not like I'm a race to do things, it's more of I'm so naturally curious that it's like, okay, I need to go to this place or I need to read this book and I need to see this. And how do I keep evolving as a human? How do I always try to say, how do I make myself better, but also being kinder, right? To myself and to others. And it's almost like the thing, how many summers you have left. If you start thinking in the grand scheme of things, like how many more summers do you have to really think about not trying to not to help the world and to also help yourself. So for me in midlife, it's almost like I'm racing to better myself more than I did the first part of my life.
Yes.
That's
Yes.
yeah. I'm trying to be better at everything.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. I love not just better, kinder.
Kinder. Yeah. Yeah. How am I kinder to others and myself? Like I travel a lot. And there are times that before I am like, I just need to go, 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 go. And now I will, if I have to come home for 24 hours and sleep in my own bed, I would. Before I wouldn't do that. And it's something about that's my teacup, not the hotels. That's my bed with my essential oils, like it's an apothecary. And so being kinder to myself, we're also just like going, okay, you know what? Your body just needs to lay still in a place that's familiar. And before I would be like, okay, jump from one place to the next. And now I'm like, oh, okay. I turn down a lot of things now. You and I always like to go to sleep early. We always like baths, like together talk about that. But now it is at the point, if I could be in bed every day at 7:30, I would. I don't care if the sun is still shining. Like I don't want to sleep. I just want to be in bed with my books. I just want to be in bed with books, tea, water, kind of like a whole little thing. And I now see why people have refrigerators in their bedrooms. I didn't understand it. Like people have like things so they don't have to go to the kitchen. I understand that now. I'm at that point. That's what midlife is about, is realizing you need a mini fridge in your bedroom for a cold beverage in the middle of the night. Also, menopause, that happens. So yeah, it works.
You know what's so funny is you say that we like to go to bed early because I remember back in the day, this is probably like 2012. You told me that you went to bed around 9 or 9:30.
Mhm.
And I used to, you may recall, the Trinkle Space, you would get emails from me at like midnight, right? So I tend to,
Yes.
but now I'm like you, but now you've gone down even lower to
Yes,
7:30.
30, yeah. Bad, that's 6. When I'm home, because I travel a lot to Europe and everything's
Yes.
so late there.
Yeah.
So to me, even now when I make a dinner reservation, I want it to be at 5:30. I
I
want dinner
love
at
it.
5:30. That way I can guarantee I can at least be in bed by 8.
You're like the senior special. I love
Yes,
it.
I'm like the senior special. And all my friends are like, why are the reservations so early? I'm like, I don't want to eat at 7:30. I don't want to do that. Yeah.
One other thing I remember you saying to me, and I think of this quite often, is you said that you read in the morning, and I was like,
Mhm.
who reads in the morning?
Yeah.
That just was shocking to me because to me, like reading is something you do at the end of the day if you have time and space left, and I love it so much. So if I ever read in the morning, besides a Substack article or whatever, I'm talking a
Yes.
book.
I'll
It
read a
is,
book.
yeah, it feels like a complete luxury, and I'm like, Julia Coney said I could do it.
Here's the thing, I still read in the morning. I literally start and when I say read in the morning, I think so many people think that you have to read 100 pages for it to be solid. I can read from anywhere from 10 minutes to an hour, and it just depends on the morning. But I don't start with my phone. My phone is in a complete other room. I know a lot of people probably going, oh my gosh, it's in a complete other room. I have a real alarm clock. I don't have my alarm clock is not my phone. I highly encourage. I love the hatch where it slowly wakes you up to like sunrise. And then I go and I read something. And sometimes it's nonfiction. Sometimes it's a fiction book that I started the night before and I want to, and I may read 10 minutes and then I can start the day getting ready. But I don't want to jump into being on my phone. And I want to start it as much solitude because I think once you start your day, there's no more solitude. It's happening. And also, most people are distracted. We got a lot going on, things that happen. And so that's the only time I can give myself that I know, like, I'm also not falling asleep because I'm so tired from the day, is I'm just going to read something fun. And it's been working. Yeah.
Yeah, I'm so glad. How many books do you read a year now? I know some people that read like 150 because they do audiobooks, and I'm still chugging along trying to get my two a month in.
Okay. So I know the whole book against audiobook thing is
That's
a lot of people think. I don't list my audiobooks as part of my reading. And I only listen to nonfiction audiobooks. I do not listen to fiction audiobooks. I read between some years are 55, some years last year was 76 books. 76 books. I keep a list of books and I keep a list of audiobooks and I keep them in a Google sheet and I keep them separate. But I know a lot of people who can listen to books and maybe they can. I feel like sometimes it's like a podcast where I might have to go back 30 seconds because I missed something because I was doing something else. Whereas when I read a book, I'm doing nothing but reading a book. There is no other, I'm not watching TV. I'm only reading the book. And also I spend a lot of times on planes and I don't work on planes. I don't actually like to fly, so books are the only calming thing. And so I can get through one book from like here to California on a flight.
wow.
So that's really why. But yeah, I read a lot. I'm trying to get back to 80, 85. I'm trying to get past that. But I've been reading more big books. There've been a lot of big books, and when I say big books, over 350 pages. And so I don't force myself to read that book only. So I'll read other things, and on the days I mark in my planner big book, I'll try to read 50 pages of that. So those
Oh,
books
yeah.
takes me, if it's a 600-page book, it takes you a little longer to read. So it's not a one sitting book, but yeah.
You know what I find interesting is that you can listen to nonfiction audio because I
Yes.
remember it was maybe like 10 years ago, and someone was like, oh my gosh, you should totally do audiobooks. It's so great. So I tried to listen to a Brene Brown book audio. I was like, I can't do this. Like, I need to take notes. And so
Hmm.
I don't know how one would do that with audiobooks. I'm sure they figured that out by now. And so I remember immediately canceling my Audible subscription and
Yeah.
like buying the book, buying a physical copy.
Yeah.
But so I could see how people could do fiction because you can follow a story. You're not like wanting to underline to enhance your life to do better and be
Yeah.
kinder. So I'm curious how you do it.
So the reason why I do nonfiction is more of nonfiction is I'm making coffee or tea. I'm sitting down with my planner to go over the day. I'm usually not reading email. I treat them like podcasts, and that's probably why for me I can stop it when I know I need to concentrate and pick it right back up. So I don't count it the same as a regular book. But there have been times I started the Rick Rubin book. Remember Creative Habit? I started it as an audiobook. Probably 10 minutes in was like, I said, nope, I actually need to buy this book and I need to read this book. And so I stopped the audio completely and went straight and bought it. And I was like, that's the book I'm annotating. I need to make notes. So some people, like when I listen to a lot of like menopause books. I don't need to really underline those. But yeah, I get, and I think everybody's just different, right? I think so. I know a lot of people count audiobooks as reading books. I don't know. That's a debate I don't get into a lot because I know a lot of people, and like my friends, they're like, you're a book slob. And I'm like, no, I'm not a book slob. I just think when you're sitting with a book and you're not, I feel like when you have an audiobook, you can go check your email. You can go check Instagram. You can go check all the social media. You're not doing that if you're sitting there and you have to flip a page. So that's also why I say that.
Yeah. Yeah. No,
Yeah.
totally. I'm like, however people can consume is great,
Yes.
but yeah, it's different. But
Yeah.
I don't listen to podcasts because I don't know. I don't really retain, I think, the same way audio the way I do like a physical thing.
You're not an auditory learner.
I'm not. Yeah.
Yeah.
Right.
Some
Right.
people are auditory learners, and some
Yeah.
people are like, maybe you have to do it. You have to physically.
Totally.
Yeah. So it's
Yeah.
like a learning thing. Yeah.
It is a learning thing, which I have learned as I've gotten older. And there's one other thing I wanted to comment on that you just said. It was about books and with podcasts, because I hear what you're saying, being able to listen to a podcast and do other things. I've always been so impressed by that. People who can do that. But I'm like, there's no way, because I want to take notes or write down things. And so do you, after you listen to a podcast, do you ever take notes, or after you listen to an audiobook nonfiction, do you write down your takeaways?
I write my takeaways while I'm listening to the book.
Okay.
Yeah, I always have like a commonplace notebook. If anybody's listening, commonplaces where you kind of like jot down quotes and things and ideas that you've heard, I'll stop mine just to make a note. Yeah, I'll stop it and was like, okay, let's play that back. Okay, let's re-listen. Okay, that's really interesting. So I'm always writing but I keep my commonplace audiobook. I have a little notebook just for audiobooks because I'm listening to them. Right now I'm listening to one on writing. And so I'm like, oh, that's a great takeaway. And yes, you can, because I use the library. I use the Libby app for audiobooks. If anybody has a library card, you use Libby. So that's because I don't have Audible subscription. So I use Libby for free books from the library.
Yeah,
to do
so
listen
smart.
more. Yeah.
Yeah. And talk a little bit more about, because you're like me, we have multiple notebooks for all sorts of things.
Yes.
So commonplace, I'm like, would that be this one? Which of course is like, has a little sticker on the front that says Tea Snob, or no, this is the ABT one, but that someone got for me. Tea Snob is on my journal now. But again, so this is my ideas or commonplace book. And then I've got a journal, then I have a planner. And so tell us about your different books.
I tried to, one year I said, I'm not doing notebooks. I'm doing all digital. I'm doing the iPad thing. I'm doing the digital calendar. I was a hot mess. I was a hot mess. I was traveling. My entire calendar was on my iPad and my iPad started acting up. I could not pull up the digital. And I was like, oh, no. Okay, so I'll use that to house notes, PDFs that are sent to me. I'll use that for that. But I had to go back to a physical paper planner, time block my day, go to that. My journal is separate. My journal is my existential crisis book. There is where and so what I did, instead of having the thicker journals that I would buy, you go to Marshalls and All Pretty, I decided to make them more like moleskin notebooks, look term, because I wanted to archive them in a way. And I was like having all different sizes. And so I use that for my journaling. That goes with me every kind of travel, or sometimes I may not take it. In Paris last year, I treated myself to Louise Carmen, beautiful handmade leather notebooks in Paris, and I got all my things made. And that notebook is really more of my commonplace where ideas come, and it's a beautiful leather. I can put the moleskin paper Cahiers notebooks in it to write refillable notebooks. It's a refillable, it looks like a traveler's notebook. Anybody knows traveler's notebook. And that's where those ideas come, right? Those are like, the quotes and everything like that. And I like it because the books are so thin, it's not really heavy. So I'm just carrying this one journal. And as I sit and read a magazine on a plane, I'm like, oh, this is where this is going. And so I had to house the journals. I had to take a step back and go, we don't need 50 journals with the pretty cover, because that was me. And now I am like really trying to tighten up the paper. And so that's how I did it. So the planner is to do all that. And then I have the journal for and sometimes I put my morning pages in there, right? And then the commonplace goes in this Louise Carmen leather like notebook.
Yeah, nice,
Yeah.
nice.
Yeah.
So you have narrowed it down to 3 paper products, which is
Three
impressive.
paper products. Yeah, 3 paper
Yeah.
products. Everything else is no. I want to. I have even gotten to the point I can walk down the aisle in like a Marshalls or TJ Maxx of paper and not buy anything.
It's impressive.
It's very impressive for me. It's very impressive for me. I'm like, oh, that's pretty, but you don't need this.
Yeah,
Yeah. It
Do you
took about
art
2
journal?
years. I
Oh,
do
go
not.
ahead.
I do art, but that's the thing. The commonplace is art journal, right?
Okay.
So
Okay.
I have stickers in mine. I in the little pockets, I carry many stickers and I love decorating and have my little ephemera in there and all that. So all that goes in the commonplace. In the commonplace, one is like writing and one is for quotes and ideas and thoughts. And that just travels with me everywhere. And I just stick, like I said, little pockets of stickers and different ones. And I'm in a planner community on Facebook. And yeah, and everyone is like, oh my God, and it brings me joy because when I look back at it, like I was reading a Substack, she's on YouTube, Harriet Makes It Up, and she did a year of no buy, and she was printing out her outfits and putting them in her little journal to go back and reflect on how she put outfits together. Printed, and so I thought that would be a cute idea to add like a notebook, like how did I feel in that outfit when I presented at a wine festival? So things like that, but all the notebooks are really thin. That's the key. Each one is probably maybe 30 pages, but it allows me to archive very easily.
Yeah, that's perfect.
Yeah.
Because I even look over, I've got 13 memoir sized. These are little moleskins. And so I just have labeled them, but they're all like right here and all the same size, as you say. And it's very helpful just to have it all together.
And that just helped me just hone in the paper because it was really out of control.
Yeah, it does get out of control.
It gets out of control. It
Yes,
gets out of control. Yeah.
So let's chat. So Julia, I have known you, as we've said, since '06, and your journey, your career journey, it's been so fun to watch. And of course, I knew you as a legal assistant to start, beauty blogger. Now you do all this wonderful wine stuff. I'm sure there's even more. And so I'm curious, let's talk a little bit about career and reinvention and share with our listeners a bit about your journey, because it's been, at least as an outsider watching you and knowing you for so long, it's been so magical. And I'm just like so proud of you, as if you're my child and I had anything to do with it, which is silly. But I have known you since you were just beginning all of this. And I just am like a proud mama who's not your mama.
I know. Thank you, though. Thank you so much, because I think it's like you stumbled into it. I don't think none of it was planned, right? I tell people this all the time, and I have a lot of people who want me to mentor them, and they're like, what was the plan? I'm like, there was really no plan. Like, it wasn't like written out. It was, I was in DC and I went to a writers thing, and a girl told me I should start a beauty blog. She happens to be T.L. Williams, a New York Times bestselling author who was a beauty writer at that time. And so for me, I was like, oh, okay. And what turned into a hobby, I figured out how to make it a job. It wasn't like I'm going to do this. It wasn't like now where people teach classes on how to be an influencer. It wasn't right like that in 2006. Twitter hadn't even started. So we didn't even have Twitter, if you think about it, right? So for me, it was like stumbling upon this, finding a lot of fulfillment in it, and then realizing I wanted to do that more than the legal assistant job. It wasn't that I hated the legal assistant job. It was the beauty thing I wanted to do more. And so when I left, then I started doing the beauty thing. And after a while, it became, and I started looking because I was 42 at the time, turning 43. And beauty was just changing the way, because I was interested in skincare and going to France and what do they do. And I thought, do I want to be like a 60-year-old beauty editor, like writer? Will there be we didn't have Substack. We didn't have all these things. We didn't have this cool person like to be hip in midlife. That hadn't existed yet. And but I was like, oh, I really want to move into food and wine. I wanted to really go and I had to decide, do I want to do food or do I want to do wine? And I really, really didn't want to be a food writer. I could tell, I'm like, I love food and I love eating, but I love the wine portion as much as the food, but the wine won out. And so for me, I just decided to reach out, talk to people, Google like wine blogging. And that's how it did, because I started as a beauty blogger. So I just Googled wine bloggers and I just started reaching out to them about, how did you start? What did you do? And I think people are so afraid of rejection that being told no. And to me, more people want to help you than not. And if you go in with the mindset like someone's going to help me, and that's what people did. They were like, oh, okay, this is how you pitch for wine. This is what you do. Start a wine blog. And so I started a wine blog, and that just took off. It took off because I was already traveling to regions for vacations, and I was talking about this. We were at the Provence, and I still today think of every summer, think of that rosé that we had. I still have a photo of that wine. And to me, I was like, just talk about that wine. And it was just as talking to what I liked about it. I didn't want to be so technical, because wine is very technical to a lot of people. And I knew I didn't want to write that way or talk about wine that way. So that's what I just started doing. And that was 43 when I started in wine. It hasn't even been 10 years. It's 9 years. It was 9 years this March. And, then I was like, oh, let's get on Instagram and talk about it. Let's get on Instagram lives and talk to wine people and then talk about wine and talk about champagne, and let's go to Champagne. And even now, as I literally am doing the next pivot, the next off from the wine, which is I'm co-founding a luxury travel consultancy with a good friend who is a luxury travel advisor, and we're going to lead food and wine trips. I've been doing them, and now we're creating an entire company. But the point of this one will always have a wellness component. So all the trips will include spa as part of it, everything like hiking, being outside, like yoga in a vineyard, but also all the things that I've been doing, I'm just going to make a trip of it.
I love it.
Yeah. And so the luxury travel part is like the next kind of pivot point. And I'm 52. And so it's like, here we are on that 1 year, that almost 10-year anniversary again. It was like, let's throw that into the mix.
Yes. Yes. Yeah. You know what I like so much about that is it makes me think. 1999, I started the studio. Mm-hmm. In 2009, I was like, what's next for the next 10 years? And there is something about a 10-year mark where you're just like, okay, now what? Now what? No, and not that you need to make some massive shift, but you're changing, you're evolving, you're growing, your interests are shifting. And so it is. And that's whenever I decided to go back to school to do social work. And it wasn't because I thought I'd leave the studio and become in private practice, but that's what that evolved into. Because then, right, in 2017, I sold the studio. So that's almost another 10 years later, and then went into private practice. And so similar to you, it wasn't like, oh, there was this plan of sorts, but there is something where you're just checking in every 10 years, what's working, what isn't working. And honestly, it could be every 2 years, but there's something about that 10-year mark. So I love you saying that, because it really aligns with my journey also.
And I think a lot of people, like for me, I'm doing both at the same time. It's not like I'm leaving wine and going to just full-time travel. They just coexist together. It's kind of like, I think about yoga, like finding yoga. And even with that will influence part of where we go, right? Like where like I want to include those being outside more, being, as everyone says, now go touch grass, right? How are we enjoying these beautiful food and wines in beautiful places, but how are we also contributing to the land by thinking about the carbon footprint, thinking about maybe they're planting trees, maybe we help them plant olive trees, like just getting out of just like sitting down, eating and drinking, because that is a lot of what I have found. As you get older, you don't feel the same either. But I found like when I'm on a work trip, if I can swim, if they have a pool and I go swimming and I do something outside of just wine, I take it, my senses, I'm more apt to like understanding a lot of the farming practices in a different way, because I'm looking at all this land, right? I'm looking at that. So just bringing people along with that. And so that's where and it's also a new study thing, right? I'm studying a different market.
Yeah.
There's wine, and now I'm studying travel markets, travel trends. People want to have a great meal, but they also want to go, and you're doing a swimming class. Like one of the things I'm doing, I love to read. So I'm creating a book retreat in the Cotswolds. Because why? I want to just go read. And that's really how the trip starts. It wasn't like, what do you want to do? I'm like, I just want to go out and read. And so have a reading time. Not that we're reading the same book. It's just a reading time. We're in a place where there is deemed time for reading. And I think it's going to be fun because the majority are going to be women, of course. They're going to, mandatory reading. Yeah, because if you think about when we were a kid and we had mandatory time outside, we had mandatory reading time. And as an adult, we get away from that, right? Because we have a lot going on. But if I can put 8 to 10 people in a room by a fireplace with some tea, with some beverage of your choice, be it wine or water, and we're just reading, and you're reading what you want, and you're enjoying, and there's a beauty in that silence, in that collective community. That's what I want to do.
I love that, Julia. And I think it's so on trend because are you seeing all the places that are doing this? Like libraries, there was a Subway in New York City where everyone was on there reading. But it's just,
I see a lot of different reading things. And I think because reading takes, whenever you're reading, when you're actually absorbed in that, your brain, it literally changes chemically your brain. And how do we do that? And also there's a great history, like in the English countryside, of just relaxing, taking walks outside. And to me, the older I get, the more I realize, oh my gosh, I need fresh air. You don't really think about when you're young, and I didn't, and maybe people do now. I think this new generation, as we talk about like mental health and mental wellness and all that, the language has changed. So I love that people are on the subway reading. I follow a lot of those, because that's how I learn about a lot of books. What is this person reading and everything like that? But I just would love to just go there. We're going to go there and just read and have a good time. Go visit some bookstores first in London and then head on the train, because also the train, right? There's nothing like reading on a train, looking at the countryside. It's just, I can do it all the time. But also I want to do one in the US, right? Not just like London, where you do the one in California where you see that beautiful, all the glass. So charting one for the US as well.
So smart. I love this so much.
Yes. We're in a car. The whole car is us reading. Yeah.
Yeah. It sounds like an absolute dream. Yes. Do you follow the Instagram account Hot Dudes Reading?
I go and check in sometimes. I don't follow it, but it's really good. I think it's one of the best Instagram accounts I've ever seen.
So fun. I showed my mom recently. I was like, check this out. She's, I was like,
it's so good because they actually are reading. Like that's the thing too. They're not just taking a photo. I think they're really reading. But it's not like we love a bookstore. It's like we buy books. We know we're not going to read them all. We know this, right? But there's something in your brain that helps you live when you're in a bookstore. It is.
Yes.
Oh my gosh, yes. And we
endless.
have endless. Like when I'm in New York, that's one thing I try to do is I'll go to Casa magazines because they have a lot of magazines you can't find anywhere, right? In the West Village. But I also go to McNally's, right? And then sometimes it's the Strand.
Yes.
So in DC, I have Mahogany books. I have Kramer books. We have Politics and Prose. We have East City book. We just have, to me, it's like therapy. Like you walk into a bookstore for me,
Yes.
just,
yes.
Yeah. So that's the next kind of pivot. I'm at that. Yeah. So
I like it.
Having my own travel consultancy. So yeah.
Genius. Keep us posted. And
thank you.
And we'll be sure to link to all of everything that you have available right now in the show notes. And it just, with this, it was making me think of something we used to talk about years ago, like bibliophilia, and how there's a sense of like hope when I walk into a bookstore, as if this has an answer for me. A stack of books right here that I'm really excited about reading. And here's the one that I'm on right now, A Life of One's Own.
Oh,
I don't know if you've come across this, but 9 Women Writers Begin Again. And it's a woman who talks about her journey and how she sought comfort through other writers like Virginia Woolf. And so it really, there's just so many books out there. Here's one too that I'm resting my microphone on. Everything I Wish I Could Tell You About Midlife. And we'll be reading this for the coterie. Have you read this one?
I read that book. Yeah, it's
Yeah.
so good. It's
Excited.
so
I'm
good.
excited. I'm
But
like,
things like that, right, where you people, right, are coming together and from different backgrounds, and that's also the
yeah,
beauty, right, that it leads to me saying, I know, like, I have a lot of young people follow me, and some of those people I've actually made friends, and I think about how at this time in my life, I want friends that are all different ages. I've always had friends of all different races, but not necessarily all different ages. So I do make a point to have various decades of friendship in my life. 67 that are not family. Family is fine, but just true friendships of different ages to learn from them. To learn. And also I realize I'm not hip. I never was hip. I'm never gonna be hip.
you're
And that's
so
okay.
hip,
I'm not hip.
Julia. You
No, 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 no.
are.
Every time I listen to a 20-year-old music, some of their music, I'm like,
Oh, that's different.
no, I'm not. Give me my soul music back. Give me my Aretha. Give me my yacht rock. My goodness, no, no. But yeah, and that's the thing about midlife. It's not,
Yeah.
I think it's looking forward. I know like some of my friends, a few of them when they turned 50, they had a really hard time. And I didn't. I was like, let's
Yeah.
go.
Yes.
And to them, I said, if you really could start changing your mindset and go embracing whatever this is, right? Trying new things. I said, a young person in their 20s told me, she said, there are some years that give you answers and some years that give you questions. And always figuring out what year that is. But like at 52, I wouldn't want to be 25 again.
No.
If you like, I tell people, oh no, like, no, just no way. But I'm embracing 52. If that means like I don't like hit workouts, right? In my 20s, I love all that kind of crazy hit workout. I don't want to do that anymore. I do my 2 days a week of weights, and then I do my other easy kind of workouts. Don't ask me to jump up. Don't ask me to do a burpee. I'm not doing it. Like, no, no, no. That just doesn't, my body doesn't like it. I don't mean it just doesn't like those kind of exercises, right? So I do the exercises where, hey, I know I need strength as a woman, bone density. I understand those things. So I'm smart enough now to know since the workout doesn't work for me, I won't get injured. Because I know now I'm not trying to look and compete to the person. Oh my God, no, no. Just, and that is one of those things. So like right now, I think I'm in a year that gives me answers. And last year was a year of questions. So it's always thinking, moving, how am I growing? How am I learning? And how am I staying curious?
Yes, I love that. Staying curious is so key.
When I
Keeps
meet
us
some people
young.
and they're not curious, I'm always
Yeah.
like, you're missing out on life. Like you're truly
Totally.
missing out on life. It is.
Totally. So
Yeah,
much.
it's so much. And I think I'm not into 50 is the new this. And I don't go into those terms of that. I just know when I think about Father of the Bride, in that movie, they were 45. If you think about how they acted at 45, and I'm like, most of the majority, I have a lot of friends, they're in their 50s. Most of them don't have kids.
Mm-hmm.
And that's a different journey. And so that's a different relationship. And then I have a friend who is in her 50s and she's a grandmother, and that's a different relationship too. But always, how are we growing? How are we learning? How are we becoming better? I do a podcast with my friend Michelle literally called Just Getting Better. And we talk about how are we better at this age?
Yeah.
How are we move? And we talk to women of really 30 and over. And all different, that age of learning, I think now is really time critically thinking how we're doing things, how we're responding in the world, how we're showing up in the world. It's just fun. I think if a lot of people are listening, if you change your mind, honey, just change it to fun. Just wake up every day and say it's gonna be fun.
Yes.
Yeah, the world's going to hell in a handbasket. You might as well wake up and say it's gonna be fun.
Totally. Totally. Make your own joy along the way. Seriously, right?
Yes, it's the little things, and it's to me is if that means sitting on the couch. If that's like I plan a lot. You taught me about bed day. It was one of your books, and I was like, oh my gosh, this is. And so I've been using it for years, and so I have friends. They're like, what are you doing on Sunday? It's bed day, and they're like, really? I said, I get up. I may go for a walk. I may do some stretches and I take a shower. I put on fresh pajamas and I am in the bed. Yeah. And it is the most beautiful thing. But I have to plan it. It's not something like, oh, today is the,
Mm.
I look forward to it. I put it on the calendar like it's an event because for me, it is.
It is. I love that you still do that. And listeners who are curious, what's a bed day? I think you just explained it, but how would you encapsulate it? A day in bed, nourishing yourself in
That's
whatever
it.
way you want, right?
Yes, yes.
Yeah.
Some people sometimes I'll pull my iPad in and maybe watch a show, but the majority of the time I don't. I'm catching up on magazines. I have a couple of papers around that I've been wanting to get to read. It's that day to just do nothing. And of course, I'm falling asleep. There's a beautiful nap somewhere involved. That's my day. I have a great salad, just something that is not forcing me to think, but forcing me to slow down. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah. I love them. And then one other person recently reminded me of him. I'm like, I haven't put a bed day in my schedule for a while. It's like blasphemy. So I'm going to get one in.
Okay, you know how everybody does this? Everybody's talking now. Oh, we're moving into Q3, Q2, right? Q2. We're moving into Q2 or Q2, whatever they want to say.
Yeah.
I tell people when you're doing that schedule of that quarter season that you're doing, this is when you put it in. You literally kind of know I'm going in. Some days is Sunday. Sometimes I've had to do them on Wednesdays because I'm looking at the schedule. But whatever day you can, I do mine once a month. Yeah. Even if you do half a day, whatever you can do is just something where you're just being a sloth, basically. But I make it glamorous. I am right. Like it's the glamorous pajamas. It's the ones like, oh, I love this. Oh, it's so cozy. So yeah, it's like that.
Yeah, yeah. No, it's so smart because, of course, I do the monthly ones and I do quarterly also with a friend that I share, but then monthly, I still do that kind of month in review. And so that's a great time to go in and put it in because I schedule all my ballet classes, all my reformer classes. So like, why not put in the bed day? So thank you.
Yeah, you have to. I think if it's, that saying, if it's not on the calendar, it doesn't happen.
Totally.
If it's not on the calendar, it doesn't happen.
Yes.
One, like you don't wake up and go, let me do the bed day today. It's almost like I think if you create the ritual of it and the beauty of the preparation, that becomes a thing, right? It's kind of like if people going on, I always relate it to a date, right? People get excited about a date. So you think about what outfit I'm going to wear, how I'm going to do my hair, how this. Why don't we do that for ourselves? Why are we like not? So that's what I do.
Yeah. Yeah. I love it. I love how ingrained it is in your world. I'm like,
I've turned it on to other friends and they're like, this was the best thing. I'm like, isn't it though? And so like some of my mom friends, I tell them to go check into a hotel if they can. Yeah. Go do it in a hotel one night. That's all you need. Order room service. Do the same thing. You can do the same thing if you can. Just whatever you can to just not be on and not be in flight mode and fight mode all the time. Because yeah.
Because that's one thing too, I think really with midlife, it's like checking in and recognizing the nervous system and paying attention to it and what it needs in a way that maybe we just used to push through. And now it's like, we kind of
don't push through. We don't push through. It's really, the whole saying, like when I turned 40, a lot of people say I have no more F's to give and all this. I turned 50 and it was like, no, I'm not reading that, not watching that, not listening to that. Nope. And I'm okay with that. I'm okay, not, like I said, not being like hip. And so sometimes I have a lot of nieces and nephews and they'll text me or call me and say, did I see? I'm like, no, I'm okay being behind. Yeah. It's okay. It's okay. I'm chugging along. But it's more of, and I think that also too, like I look how you and I both Francophiles. I look and follow some of the most beautiful French women of all ages. And that lifestyle, right? It's hard to do as much as I wanted. Like it's hard to do when you live outside of France, right? This slowing down, but I try as much as I can to how I incorporate that, right? Yeah. And you look at their culture and the age, and you see this, right? You see the women in their 50s and 60s, and just joyful and exuberant and lively, like, and that's what I'm trying to be. I'm trying to be that and trying to encourage all my friends. This is what I'm doing. You should do it too.
Yeah.
Yeah. Put your phone down, not just when you're eating, just put it down.
Yeah.
I have no notifications on my phone.
Good girl. Yes.
None.
We don't need them.
We don't need them. I will check the phone. I wear a watch. I know what time it is. So usually I check my phone maybe every 30 minutes. No.
Yeah. Because it's dangerous if you look at like the pickups in a day, unless you're really intentional about it, or the
Mm-hmm.
amount of time, you're like, I just wasted an entire 24 hours in a week. That's insanity. That's if you're doing 4 hours a day, if I'm
Yeah.
doing my math right. Don't quote
Mm-hmm.
me ish, something around there. Anyway,
Yeah.
but yeah, and you're just like, oh, that's unacceptable. For some people, it may be acceptable and necessary,
Yeah.
right? But you're like, is that what I want my life to look like? Especially as you think about, I have X amount of summers left. Do I
Yes.
want a day out of every week spent on my phone? No.
Yeah, yeah,
I
yeah.
don't-
And
yeah.
it takes work, right? And it is not one of those, you're not going to get it right on the first try. No one's going to completely get it. And there are
Yeah.
times like I need to have my phone on if I'm traveling. It's just time. But that's when I'm like, I don't work on planes.
Mhm.
Like I tell people all the time, I refuse to get on Wi-Fi. Like if I have to, I need to know a good reason why I need to be on Wi-Fi.
Yeah.
And nothing, you can't wait until I land and get comfortable and situated. And a lot of people that's really hard. I have friends that are like, you don't work on planes? I'm like, oh no, I'm deep in a series. Like I'm deep in a book. I'm deep in like the 5 months of travel and leisure I have not read that I am
Right.
bringing on this flight because no, yeah. So, but
I
it's,
like that. Yeah.
midlife is very intentional for me, where I don't think
Yes.
previously the intentionality of taking care of me as focused as I am now.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
Agree. I like that.
I am very focused on intentionality for me right now.
Yes, it's critical.
Yes.
Two fun facts before I ask
Mhm.
our last question. One is Tranquility du Jour. Listeners
Yes.
may not know, but you and I came up with the idea because I was like, I want something, a new name for the blog, and I want it to be
Mhm.
Frenchy. And I remember being like, Tranquility a la mode.
And I
You're
was
like,
like, no.
I don't think so. And then I can't remember if I came up with the du jour or
You came
you
with I
did.
can we both, and I was like, we said tranquility of the day, and you went
Oh yeah.
tranquility du jour, and that was
Oh,
it.
okay.
Yeah.
But it's so fun. Like you were part of that whole
Mhm.
process because you speak French and you've always been so creative. And I was like, oh my gosh. So we have to credit Tranquility du Jour
Yes.
a bit to you. And then second, that we have to credit Russell Simmons coming to my hip hop yoga
Of yoga,
class.
yeah, at that
To
time,
you.
yeah, he was, yeah, because I saw him at Congressional Black Caucus at that
Yeah.
time, and he came to, man, that was months, many moons ago,
Many
and it's funny
moons.
because I still have the original TS shirt from the first, like I still have it. My husband's like, I can't believe that thing hasn't fallen apart,
Yeah.
and I one of the things I do now is roller skate. So I saw, and I credit Usher. This is an Usher thing. I saw Usher in Paris in 2023. And this was when his whole dancers, they're all on skates. I talked about those skates. Like everybody, I was like, they look like they were having so much fun. And at the time, I was like, I need a hobby that's not reading. Because reading to me is not a hobby, it's just something I do. I was like, how do I need a hobby? And I started, and I started talking about talking to my husband. I said, hey, I think I'm going to go back to roller skating. I think I'm going to do it as an adult and maybe see how it goes. And we just kept talking. And for that Christmas of 2023, he bought me pink roller skates
My gosh.
and like the pink helmet and the elbow pads and everything. When I tell you, I was at the basketball court, falling, getting back up. I had music playing, and you're not on your phone because you can't do anything. That is my hobby. And a lot of people are like, oh my God, you should do a roller skating trip. I said, nope, because every hobby doesn't have to be a job. And I had to learn that because we have so many interests and people think everything needs to, how do you monetize that? And I am not. So I bring my skates. My husband and I, we roller skate on Friday nights. And most Saturday mornings, if I can, usually now I kind of like, I want to just get up, go walk, and then come back and but we roller skate. And it is 3 hours of just having fun. And everyone is, and when you go now, you see so many different ages, but I'm seeing so many people in midlife go, I needed a hobby that takes me off my phone. And also, it's great exercise, but I'm there with my hot pink skates and I see all these other ladies and they have all the different skates. And it is one of those things like, but I had to become intentional on finding a hobby, intentional on taking care of like myself and saying no. and realizing and telling everyone it is a complete sentence. And that really started like 50 years. No, I am quick. No, I'm good. No.
Yeah.
Yeah. But intentionality, to me, comes in midlife.
Yes, absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely. So my last question, Miss
Yes.
Julia, because I think we could go on and on for hours, is name of the podcast, as because you helped,
Yes.
Tranquility du Jour.
Yes.
So how, and I'm just going to pour more tea as I ask this question, but how are you finding tranquility in your day? I do feel like you've given a lot of examples, right?
Mhm.
But I'm wondering if there's anything else that you'd like to share as we think about tranquility in midlife for Miss Julia Coney.
I am going to say tranquility for me, it are my mornings. I know mornings are hard for a lot of people, but to me, mornings are the best part. They are the best part of the day, right? Because mine are very quiet. My husband is in a place like now. I remember his alarm would be the news, like literally the news. And I was like, we have to we just can't figure it out. But I think to find that part of the day that you can carve out 10, I think we get caught up in how the timing, because everybody on the morning routine. If I said the morning routine, people are like, what's your morning routine? Some people get up at 5 and then they conquer all this. No. I do my quiet morning, my little 10-minute reading, and that is my tranquility of the day, is the quiet. Because I live a loud life. My job is to talk to people. And I find that if I don't like to call it a morning routine, I just like to call it the morning. And remember how I used to be like super early up? I was be like 4:30, 5. Nope. I wake up when my brain just goes, it's time to get up. And some days that might be 4:30, and some days it might be 6:30. And I allow myself, instead of pushing myself, like, I need to be at the gym by 5 o'clock and I spent years that, yeah. So to me, the tranquility is the intentionality. Yeah.
Yeah. Slow mornings are everything. Mine usually start with a bath. And yeah, there's just something so grounding about that, just to feel your body immersed in like warm water. It's so lovely.
Do you read in the bath? Are you a bath in the morning? Or just
I
soak it in?
don't. Yeah, I
Okay.
just soak.
Okay.
Yeah. Yeah. Because then I have to underline and you have to have your pen, the water, and then it's just the whole thing.
Yeah, that's too much.
It's not easy
Okay.
being me, Julia. It's
Oh
just
God,
not.
I can read in the bath till the water turns cold and then let it out and then add more hot water, because okay, so this adds to my tranquility. I recently started getting, probably last year, into a lot of smut reading. You know about smut?
I've heard of fairy smut, but I don't know.
No, okay, not
much.
fairy
Yeah.
smut, but
Okay.
more of the billionaire romance, the friends to
Okay.
lovers, the friends to enemies, all these kind of books. Romance.
Okay.
Which I wasn't a romance reader like that. I wasn't. When I tell you the joy of my mornings reading a romance, it is just so beautiful. And so literally I found there is, and you're going to have to, her blog is Beach Reads and Bubbly. She's on Instagram. And she had a book called Book Reads After Dark, which are like the smut. And then my friend Anella makes a smut list for all Black authors, by all Black authors. And then I literally got, you'll love this, it's a Kindle cover, says smut, but it looks like the old Marlboro cigarette packages. When I pull it out on a plane, people are like, just, oh, the joy of reading romance and smut in the morning is just, because it's all fiction. Like, I just know it. And before, if you had talked to me maybe 5 years ago, I would like, read those. But English literature, of course I don't read those. Now I'm all into it. Like, I finally was like, I don't have to read the books on the bestseller list that says everybody should have read these books, because many of them I read in college. And now I'm just like, no, I am never reading these again. I'm not picking this up. I'm like, give me more Emily Henry, give me more Jasmine Guillory, give me Teal Williams. Like, I am literally reading those, my murder mysteries, but I read romance in the morning. And here's the thing, I'm not actually a very romantic person in life. So it's opposite of me. So I think that's probably why I like it.
Yeah, totally. It makes sense.
Yeah.
Is it like, okay, so forgive my ignorance, but is it, I remember Harlequin romance books from my like teenage years.
Yeah.
Is it like that?
But turn it up. But
Okay.
some are like that, and some are like some YA angst kind of romance, but a lot of them are like one I always try to introduce people because a lot of my friends like, how did you get into romance? And it's by Emily Henry called Book Lovers. And it's two people because they meet over. I always recommend that book if that's your foray into romance, and then Jasmine Guillory. But I just wanted something to just light. Just that's what I was looking for. I was like, we're in DC area. It's not a lot of light right now. Feels so over the past year, I was like, let me just get light. Let me just get right. And so some of the ones are like the billionaire to billion. But I love them. I could talk about them all day right now.
Have you read the book, The Idea of You?
Yes, I obsessed. Robin Lee.
Obsessed.
Yes. She's a Francophone. She moved to France.
No,
Robin
I
Lee
didn't.
moved from LA to France. Yes. The Idea of You. I have the one with the original cover that was like, because when I heard about it, I was like, I'm not going to read this book. And my friend Renee said, Julia, I need you to read it. I read it in 2 days. And I was like, okay.
Same here.
Literally said, okay. Went to the bookstore. I had them order it. They ordered the book. I picked it up. I could not put that down. So now it's a comfort read.
Yeah. Okay.
It's one of those, I don't feel like reading this or that. Oh, that's always. And I just pick it up wherever it is. I don't have to read it from the beginning. It is such a good book.
So good.
Yeah. Robin Lee, man, she did an amazing job. Yeah, but she lives in Paris right now.
So. Oh my gosh. I have to follow her. Because that's the only book I feel like I've read in that genre. I just recently read All Fours. I didn't love that, even though everyone else really loved that book. But I really loved The Idea of You. And I was just on a Harry Styles kick for a little while, but I've broken up with him. I've moved on. But I was
moved on to
Lenny Kravitz a little. Like
you went back to Lenny.
I went back to Lenny. I saw him in Paris last month.
Well, we'll see. Oh man.
Honey.
Oh,
honey.
I know.
I can't.
So, well, I was like, oh my God. I need to go see him in concert. I need to go see him in concert because it's been a minute. But I remember that was one of the first. Okay, Coldplay.
Yeah.
And Lenny Kravitz were two of the songs you played in the first class I ever took from you in Tranquility. That's what I knew. I was like, and you also played Eminem, and I was like,
of course.
What kind of yoga studio is this? But I get it now. But Oof,
honey.
Yes.
Honey.
I saw how Harry Ween, so I understood the Harry Styles. I get it. But The Idea of You is such a good book.
So like one of the best books I've ever read.
Yeah.
But with Lenny, if you haven't seen his latest 2 videos, Honey and TK421, I challenge you.
Let me tell you, I don't have a call after this. I'm going and watch those videos right now because he is.
Anyway, listeners, sorry. I think I saw him in 2000 and then again 25 years later.
Okay. So is he like are you on the same kick you were with like Garth Brooks? Remember you had to see Garth everywhere?
Yes. I loved Garth. I know it's different. Garth I wasn't like attracted to, but Garth I loved from an Oklahoma perspective.
Yeah.
And Lenny, I just have a friend who's also equally obsessed with him and was in Paris and was like, he's coming because he's not really doing a US tour yet. So I was like, let me go. Like how fun is that to go to Paris to see Lenny? So I'm not going to follow him around, but I do enjoy his movements and music on Instagram.
Did you see his house in Paris from Architecture Died in the video?
Unfortunately, I have not been there and seen it, but I did. And it's all in that video, TK421. It's so hot, Julia. And that house is stunning.
Yeah, he also has a house in New Orleans. He's like very into decorating and architecture and all that kind of stuff.
Oh my gosh, Julia Coney. Lenny Kravitz, honey.
I'm going to watch this video because I was like, and I've seen him and I liked him. It wasn't, but I think because also, isn't he almost 60?
Yeah. He is. I think he is 60. Okay. I know he looks like this. Yeah.
Oh my God.
It's impressive. Yeah. And he only apparently eats stuff from his garden. I guess when he travels, he clearly has to eat other things. I think he's got that place in the Bahamas and he eats stuff from his garden. And like, I think he's vegan. He's
vegan. Yeah.
So anyway, yes.
Yeah. Okay.
So enjoy. You'll thank me later.
Thank you so much.
So good to connect, Julia. I've so missed you and it's really, really lovely. And
we have to make a tea date.
We do. We do.
Make a tea date. Yeah.
For sure. All right. Yeah. You have a great rest of your day and thank you so much.
Thank you, Kimberly. Bye.